Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today we are thinking about a dog's devotion. Oh, what a topic. I am excited to talk about this today, ladies and gentlemen. And I have Russ here, who has such a story that is so worth listening to and really thinking about. So, with that being said, thank you so much, Russ, for coming onto my show, sharing your time and your perspective with me. I am excited. So, when you hear those words, a dog's devotion, what does that make you think about?
I think dogs are well, they're known as a man's best friend, and I think that's absolutely true. They just
Yeah.
have no awareness of themselves really. They're only like a component of the human that they have latched onto. Most of dogs are that way anyway. Um, and I've seen some dogs, it's always interesting when they're like just kind of passed around. My sister had a dog named Patton
Mm.
that she gave it to my mom. My mom gave it to my sister gave it to my other sister, she gave it to my nephew. And they just kind of fit in and are just a love bug for whoever has them at the time. So they can be very versatile as well and just kind of adapt to their surroundings and they're always just a great component of the person's life.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. I've always had dogs growing up or just animals in general growing up. And I've always held value for what they can bring. They bring you this sense of love, the sense of knowing that you're not alone, a sense of protection and compassion. And it helps remind you to just be mindful and be present and in the moment. And I would like to know your dog. Tell me about his story. I mean, what made you realize that this dog was special and important for you and in your life?
Well, there's a lot of it, so we'll be going over all of that. But quickly before we get there, you mentioned protection, and I dated a girl who had a very small dog. It was a Chihuahua mix. But even that dog, even though it couldn't attack a burglar, it would certainly alert the family that there was a burglar there, and probably, the burglar would think, well, I don't want to be in this house with a yapping dog. I'm out of here. So, I mean, the smallest dog is still going to be your protector, and they will lay down their life for you if you're in danger, even if they can't help. I mean, they're just that devoted. And I also wanted to take a quick moment to recognize my dog growing up because Fonzie was such a sweet dog. She was a border collie, so super fast. She could run like the wind. And just always knew what I was feeling. If I was down and depressed, she
Yeah.
would come to me with her head hanging down,
Mm.
just knowing that I was sad, and then she would always cheer me up and just be a comfort. And so dogs sometimes all they have to do is be there, and
Yeah.
and they're an incredible comfort for you.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. I think that's so beautiful
yeah,
because people don't realize like they pick up on cues, they pick up on energies, and that's the reason why a lot of dogs are used in the service department, you know what I mean, for servicing and they are able to recognize when your levels are low, if you're diabetic or if you're about to have a seizure or you know what I mean, even things like that. Like I've seen those videos and
yes.
I've seen that connection and that awareness and it's so amazing. It's so amazing where it's like you don't even realize it's happening. You know what I mean? Like you could just be down and out, and humans don't even pick it up sometimes, but a dog will. So, I had dogs like that where they just knew, and I had a dog where I had to protect it more than it protected me because it was just more of a scary. But it's it was my love bug, and I love them, so I know exactly how that is to just grow up with that animal and just grow up with that compassion and that knowing of like you're there, you're with me.
Yes. Yeah, and dogs can actually smell cancer. And there was a
Yeah.
60 Minutes episode where they had talked about a woman who had a dog that just kept barking at this bump on her leg and prompted her to go check it out, whether, she may have otherwise just ignored it. But she did have it checked out and it was cancer and she was able to get it removed and her dog, really saved her life there. So they're incredible, and the stories are endless about how amazing they are. So I'm really glad that I get to tell my story about Watson. Um, One more thing about Fonzie is she would wait for me at the bus stop every single day until I got home from school, and my mom could not bribe her away with food.
Oh, I love that.
So
It makes me think
yeah,
of that one movie where the dog stayed and walked with the owner to the train station every day and would be there waiting for him, and anytime he, no matter what it was a simple routine. He's been doing it for a puppy, and then the day that the owner got in had a heart attack at work, he didn't come back, and the dog stayed there waiting for him and waiting for him. And despite how many times that everybody came to try to take him back home or anything, he did not move. Like I bawled in that movie. Like I was snot
imagine
to like to full on like tears, like
just
hardcore,
blubbering.
just yeah, like it hit my heart because I was like, it doesn't even know. Yeah, I know exactly what
Yes.
you mean. It's real. It's real. So tell me about Watson's story and his tribute.
Okay.
I
So
want
I adopted him. I adopted him from the animal shelter in Novato, California. My sister knew Watson's previous owner. He had gotten deported. And so Watson, was kind of uprooted from his owner and separated and then put in a shelter, which was really horrible for Watson. And I think that's going to be difficult for any dog. But certainly Watson has just a really super high level of devotion. So I can imagine that it maybe affected him a little more deeply than a lot of other dogs. Um, but my sister knew his owner and knew the dog and said, he's such a great dog, you have to get him. Uh, Now, at the time, I was basically living out of my car and driving up and down the West Coast because the property I had planned to move on to is surrounded by hillbillies, out in the mountains of Northern California, and they have friends in the sheriff's department and in the district attorney's office, and they can pretty much do whatever they want. Um, so they've just been obstructing the driveway to my family's cabin property, and they've been doing it for several years now. Um, and I'm working on all kinds of legal attempts to remedy that whole situation, but it's ugly. Uh, so I tried to move onto the property, couldn't actually get up to the cabin because of these barriers in the road. So I was just kind of driving up and down the coast, visiting friends and family, staying in motels and hotels, and it was not the ideal time to get a big dog.
yeah.
But it was the day before he was scheduled to be put down. Uh, so it was now or never to rescue him. And it turned out that he was the ideal dog. And we'll go into a lot of that later. But even when we did end up getting up to live on the property, the stickers that are there didn't stick to his fur like they do to a lot of dogs. He would lay down in the dust and the dirt, and then he'd get up and shake, and just all the dirt would fall off of him. So he was just ideally suited to that environment. And so the fact that we connected is just really incredible. It's one of those works of fate that you just have to marvel about.
Sparks of fates, because sometimes you don't realize that it's needed until it's happening, because I know exactly what you mean. Like I got my Chinese Shar in a moment where it wasn't very ideal, but it just felt right. Like, you know what I mean? Like it just felt right. Like it
Yeah.
made no sense maybe for the next person, but for me it just felt right and it felt needed. And when I got him, I got my Ontario, it was just everything that I needed. You know what I mean? He was a little timid, but I was a little timid too because I just moved into Texas and I had no idea what to do, where to go. You know what I mean? It was just a new
Yeah.
environment. So I got this dog and he helped me like just be free, you know what I mean? And just love differently and enjoy life differently and
Yeah.
explore and wonder. And you know what I mean? I even wrote a book about him just because I just he held such a great place in my heart, and he recently passed. And literally just yesterday was a 1 year anniversary when he died. And when my husband told me that, I was just like, wow, how sad, you know what I mean? Like it brought tears to my eyes, you know what I mean? Because it's
Yeah.
like you have this part of you and he's there and he makes something real and then he's not there anymore. It's like, ugh, I'm just getting choked up just thinking about it. So I can only imagine when you think about Watson and how he's no longer with you, like that still chokes you up too, because it's like, man, he's a part of you. He helped you, he protected you, he loved you in a way that nobody else was able to, you know, and at a time that other
Yes.
people probably didn't see your life as something plausible, you know, for them. So I agree. I think that's the beauty of a dog's devotion is that they're able to
Yeah.
love you truly unconditionally in such the rawest form. Like it's just raw and it's
What was the name
beautiful.
of your book?
My dog loves eggs.
Okay.
And it's
Awesome.
about
I would
just
like to check it out.
yeah, it's just about how he loves different types of eggs because he did. Oh my goodness, how he loved eggs. Like he was very picky with certain foods, but when I pulled out the eggs, like he would get culeko, like he would just wiggle his little booty around and do his little prounces. Like it was the cutest thing. So like I did that dedication to him because man, he still holds a place in my heart. I chose not to get another dog just because it's like I still have to let that part of me heal from him. So I ended up adopting a cat in the meantime, but I told my husband when I'm ready to get another dog, then I will let you know. But until then, like let's just move in a different direction because it's like when they hold such value, it's hard to just
Yeah.
fill that up with somebody else. So did you ever think about replacing getting another dog after Watson died?
Certainly not right away. I definitely wanted to go through that grieving period.
Yeah.
Um, and now I still talk to him just in case maybe he's somewhere where he can hear me. I don't want him to think that I've forgotten about him. I want him to know that he's still my best buddy.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, that's
I think he is that is the true the best buddy. So do you have a moment where that just holds so much weight for you like that you would always remember with a time that you had with Watson?
we did so much together. I mean, we went on camping trips, sometimes for weeks at a time. We took trips to Half Moon Bay and Santa Cruz and Morro Bay, San Luis Obispo, just all over the place. So we had a ton of experiences, and it is extremely difficult to think of any single one. Um, but I think one of the things that really touched me, well, okay, now I'm starting to think of a few. So when I first got him, I mentioned that he his owner had been deported, and so there was that painful separation for Watson. So for the first 3 years that I had him, he would sleep with his head on top of my legs or his paws like draped over me. He didn't want me to be able to move without him knowing that something was going on. So, it was that type of attachment that he had, that he
Yeah.
just had to be physically on top of me to know that I couldn't just be removed without him being woken up and knowing about it.
Oh, I love
So,
that. Yeah.
yeah, that was touching. And then the other thing that struck me, and this happened later when I had moved into my sister's apartment in Marin County, California. And I was renting a bedroom there, and my sister was living in the other bedroom. And if my sister came to my door, Watson would come up running and barking, and he would not let anybody, not even my flesh and blood sister, come near me unless he was right with me. Like he just would not let anybody near me unless he was right there. And that
Oh.
was amazing to me, like to have that level of devotion and vigilance from a guard dog.
Oh, absolutely. I know what you mean because my Ontario, he had moments where I could not leave his sight. I could not leave him. Like he has to know where I am. And when I had kids, it was hard for him because I would put the baby gates up to protect my boys, and he would just look at me on the other side like, "Excuse me, we're not in the same area. Like I can't touch you." You know what I mean? So, because before I had my sons, but he would always be under my legs, around my legs, under my desk. If I was cooking in the kitchen, he'll be right there behind me, just watching me in that guard position. Like he truly showed me this sense of security and peace that I did not feel for so long. Mm. So yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah, so when I got Watson, he started traveling with me. We kept doing all these trips and going up and down the coast and visiting people. Um, And then after about a year, I rented an excavator and I fixed the road going up to our property. And so we were able to actually move onto the property.
That's good.
The neighbors have heavy equipment of their own. So they
Mhm.
just blocked the road again 3 days later. And Watson and I were actually trapped on our property for about 2 months because
Wow.
my truck was up there with us and the road was blocked off. Um, Eventually, just so I could get out, I had figured out how I could take my truck through the woods and through the trees and up over the hills. And just, I mean, it was crazy. I thought I was going to roll over at times. But we found a way to get out to the county road so that I could at least get out of the property and out to civilization.
Oh wow. I could only imagine how stressful that would have been just to be in that type of
Yes.
environment and just to see, to be honest, with your story, because I read online, I followed you and on socials and I seen your story on your website, and it literally made me think of that American Horror Stories. There's a
Oh,
season, yeah, you got to watch it. American Horror Stories. There's a season where this guy and girl bought a house, and the house supposedly was not supposed to be for them. You know what I mean? It was on somebody else's property, and that was my house. And so these people, these I guess you could say hillbillies, because that's how they kind of look too in the show, but they kind of just tormented them. You know what I mean? They would do anything in their power to make them feel like they either were going crazy or that they didn't belong, and they demanded that they give their house back, that it was never for them. So it really made me feel like, wow, that's kind of just like your story and your situation, where they just felt like they were entitled for that property because, like you said, they had their connections with the government, their connections with the law enforcement, you know what I mean? White privilege, so it really does make it so surreal. Like, I'm gonna have to find that season and email it to you so that you can watch it, because it's really good. And it really does go kind of so coincide that the only difference is that they didn't have a dog to protect them. So it's like, was there ever a moment where you realized like he's really protecting you from that situation?
not really anything that occurred where he had, put himself on the line or something.
That's
But
good.
well, first of all, every day going in and out of there was treachery because their places has bears and mountain lions all over.
Mhm.
Um, so Watson would kind of, when we would go out, he would sort of go around in front of me and make sure that all the bears were scared away and there's no mountain lions waiting to pounce. And I think the fact that we live so closely together, they probably all these animals probably thought we were the same creature and would probably smell enough of Watson's scent on me just to leave me alone, even if they happened to see me when Watson was not right next to me.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, he would kind of go along the trail and make sure that it was safe. And I never saw anything. I mean, there was one time he chased a bear up a tree. And so I saw the bear that time, but other than that, like I never encountered any animal, and I know it's because Watson was there, kind of clearing the path and making
Oh,
sure that it was safe.
well, absolutely, because he's like, that's my human. Don't touch my human. You know what I mean? He belongs to me. I'm not gonna lose another human, so you're not gonna mess with him. Oh my goodness, I love that, because people don't realize like the animals sometimes can be so one track minded, and when they found that devotion in that one person, and they find that love and that connection and that reciprocation, they truly devote themselves. That loyalty is like no other. You know what I mean? A dog's loyalty, oh my goodness, no one, nothing, and no one can really even compare to the type of loyalty that a dog can really give to you. Like a man can leave you left and right, but that dog, I mean, that dog can stay with you through thick and thin. And the fact that that dog needed to have that physical contact to know that you were right there, that you were alive, that you were in his presence. I mean, that even makes it more real, because he knew that there's no anything else. It was you two, you know what I mean? So that really does bring so much value. And man, for us, I'm so sad because time is catching up to us. So what can be some lasting words that you can leave us off with to keep on thinking?
Let's see. Well, so we kind of have touched on the pace on the fact that Watson has passed. He ended up getting a tumor on his liver when he was about 11 years old, and knocked the sales out of him. He lost about 10 pounds in about a week. And then within another week, he was no longer able to stand up at sometimes by himself. I have to kind of help him to get onto his feet.
Yeah.
So at that point, I took him to be put to sleep,
Mm.
which was horrible. And I mean, at least the vets were amazing.
Yeah.
Um, but it was just a very, very difficult time. But I'm always been able to sort of comfort myself knowing the fact that Watson was this crazy dog that just went with pedal to the metal all the time. I mean, he would run through barbed wire chasing bears and he'd put a gash in his leg that was about this long. And I had to try to bandage that up and hold it back together. And he had a scratch, like a pretty bad scratch right on his eyelid that I'm pretty sure he was chasing a squirrel into a bush and just went head first into it without even slowing down, so, almost putting his own eye out. So he was
Yeah.
just a dog that just loved to go for it. Um, and he died when he was, about 80 years old in human years. So he had a good long run, and I think he wouldn't have known what to do with himself if he had a long period of growing old and no longer being able to be my protector. I don't know what he would have thought about his whole purpose anymore.
Yeah.
So as sad as things were, and what really breaks me up is the fact that I'm hoping still to sort out all these problems with our land, and I hope to get back there myself. But Watson, now it's too late for him to ever taste that justice. He's never going to be able to get back there. So that's the hard part. But overall, I'm kind of glad that he just kind of went out when he was still a healthy, strong dog, basically, at least up until those last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, he passed peacefully. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You provided him that peace of mind that he was no longer going to be in pain and going to suffer. Luckily, when my dog died, he died in his sleep. So it was just hard because that night I gave him a kiss. I said, "I love you. Good night. I'll see you in the morning." And in the morning, when I went to go get him to take him on his walk, he did not move and he did not wake up, and that was really hard on me to just see him so still and motionless and with no life. Like I was in denial, you know what I mean? Like I just was like, okay, he's gonna move. He's gonna move, right? Like I would just sit there and just watch him, just like, okay, is he breathing? Like, you know what I mean? Like I literally just was there, and then I realized like he's stiffer than stiff. Like there's nothing in there. But he died so peacefully. Like his hands like this, his paws right like over in one another, and his head just on it, and it was just, oh, a beautiful moment knowing that at least he died
Yes.
peacefully. And I tell myself that he was having a dream chasing a squirrel and he kept on going. You know what I mean? Something so
Yeah.
innocent and loving. And that's what the joy of having a dog and just having an animal is, that they allow you to know that love, that protection, that loyalty, that devotion, and to know that you are worth being loved. You know what I mean? You are worth having all of that things that an animal can give you. So why not just embody it yourself without the dogs, you know? So that's truly something for everybody to really think about. And if, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did, go check out Russ, go check out his website, go check out all the craziness, the crazy stories that he has on there, the great content that he has on there, the pictures of Watson so you can see his lovely face. Even on the graphic of this episode, you'll see a picture with him and Russ there, and the love you can already see in that picture is so real. So that, hey, just keep on thinking about the relationship
Yes.
that you have with your dog and the relationship that you have with maybe a future dog. If you're thinking about having a dog, it's worth it. So with that being
Yes.
said, always
So
keep thinking, y'all. Bye.